What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. It's Monday, we have an Opinel, and we have a box, which means it's time for Microbrand Monday. It is 1:40 p.m. Let's get down to business. How gorgeous is this Fuyugashiki dial? Look at that. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and talk about what we're gonna look at today. We have a watch from a company I've never heard of. That's kind of a trend here during Microbrand Monday. This is from Wicked Watch Company. Ooh, very sinister. Yeah, I don't know much about the watch, but I do have the spec sheet and I have, you know, some media photos to go on, and it looks like it's going to be a very interesting day. So yeah, let's go ahead and see what they have in store for us. Is it a watch roll? How did I know? How did I know? It's another trend for Microbrand Monday. Whoop. Wow, some heft there. Interesting, let's talk about that in a second, because I think, yep, there's another one in here. Anything else? Whoa. Oh my gosh, I don't know what that is. All right, let's clear this area up and take a look at everything that we have. Okay guys, so with all the packaging cleared out of the way, we are left with a little mini plastic clamshell case, a leather pouch, and a leather watch roll. Now when we take a look at the leather watch roll, it might seem kind of boring, right? Pretty standard. Every Microbrand, they seem to send their watches out for review with leather watch rolls, but there was a little bit of a clue here. Now, when I heard that little metal knocking around in the box there, I took a look at this little end cap, this kind of metal stay at the end of these tethers here, and I saw it said STP0000 with the Wicked Watch Co. kind of stylized W. Now, according to the spec sheet, they offer two movements, okay? A Seiko Instruments NH36 automatic and a Swiss-made STP111 automatic movement. So I have a sneaking suspicion in this one, there's probably the STP, and the 0000 is probably because, you know, this is a prototype. And then here, maybe there's the Seiko variant. I don't actually know. You know, I want to open this one first because I have no clue what's in this pouch. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so we have what seems to be a NATO strap, and we can see there's some oxidized or patinated hardware here. The keepers have a nice patina going on, and so does the buckle. We'll get a close-up shot of that. What is this? All right, we have a heavy-duty threaded, encapsulated flathead screwdriver. Oh. All right, whole bunch of extra hardware here. We have some threaded pins. This is kind of like all Panerai on us. You know, Panerai doesn't really use spring bars. They use these threaded screw pins, essentially. And we have these little itty-bitty screws. We're gonna get up close to show you all of that. Man, thank God I didn't just spill those all over the office, because we would never find them ever again. Look at that. You know, it's kind of funny, little tangent here. This little thing reminds me, in the 90s, I would walk around with my grandparents, and my grandma had this little thing on her keychain, and it would hold her medicine that she had to take. I don't know why I thought about that, but thinking about this, unthreading it and having this little metal keychain, this little hollowed out cylinder, it really does remind me of those old school pill holders. But yeah, this one is not that. It says Wicked Watch Co. Random little story. Oh, and we have actually, this is another flathead screwdriver. So there's two flatheads and a bunch of hardware. Interesting. Okay. What else is back here? All right, we have the manual, which I famously never read. Oh, we have a wax pressed letter. Am I getting accepted into Hogwarts? No, it's a international warranty card. STP0002. Interesting. Here it says STP0000. This is STP0002. Okay. Wow, I got the holographic card, guys. It says designed in Bezel. Oh, how fancy. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look here, because so far we're only seeing things that say STP, so maybe they did only send me one watch. However, I do know, according to their Kickstarter page, they do offer an NH36 variant, which is less expensive, and then an STP-111, which is a little bit more expensive. So we'll take a look at this, and then we'll talk about the price. Okay, so sorry to disappoint, guys. We do only have one watch here, which is perfectly fine. I just wasn't totally sure. I've never unboxed a Microbrand Monday that had like multiple pouches and compartments. That's all very interesting. So I assume probably if you were to order one of these, it would, like, all of this would come in kind of a big box, but who knows. All right, let's get up close to this. All right, guys, well, here it is, the Wicked Watch Co. Pearl Diver. Now, I did confirm on the case back here, we can see it says STP-111 automatic, Swiss made. So not only was this designed in Basel, Switzerland, I suppose enough of this watch's value affords this watch the coveted Swiss made text there. Whether or not that means anything to you, you know, that's up to you. But people want me to talk about the prices earlier on in these unboxings. So for the STP-111 Swiss made variant, like the one we have here, this will cost $865. Now, for the NH35, it's funny, one part of the, let me see. One part of the spec sheet said NH36, but now it says NH35 here. So for the NH35 variant, which is of course from Seiko Instruments, it's going to be $433. So quite a bit less if you want to go with the Japanese movement. First thing that stands out, doesn't seem to be stainless steel, does it? That's right, as we get up closer to this watch, we can see this is in fact bronze, including this crown here. And I have a sneaking suspicion that anchor is lumed. So let's go ahead and see if that glows in a moment. First, let's talk about the movement. So the Swiss-made STP-111 automatic, this isn't the first time we reviewed a watch using this movement. We can see the second hand is sweeping smoothly across the dial, actually has a 28,800 BPH frequency. We can see a date complication here. The first criticism I would give this watch is that it doesn't have a bordered date window. I kind of like things to be bordered. It kind of makes it easier to read. But what I will say is it does have a dark date wheel, so it does have kind of that sleek, smooth look. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. I just think, you know, more of a border on that date window gives it a bit more of a polished look. Speaking of this crown, let's go ahead, unthread it. Okay, very nice and smooth to unthread. Let's thread it back up. Okay, no grittiness, no binding. I like to see that. One click, two clicks. Okay, there we go. We can see in the final position, the second hand does stop. Let's do that again because I think I didn't have it all the way out. Okay, so I am actually in the final position in the movement. There we go. So not as distinct of crown setting as I'd like. So here's the, what I assume to be, there we go, final position, boom. Yeah, I really want to see two distinct clicks because I know that this should have two crown settings. Obviously one would be for the date complication. Let's see if I can get the first click. No, it kind of just goes straight to the second one. Maybe I'm being a little bit too ham-fisted here, too heavy-handed. See, I heard two clicks, but okay, here's, I think, the first click. That will be the date complication. And the final click, it does hack. Again, not the most distinct crown settings here. And then if we push it all the way in, we can see it's as far in as we can go without threading it. Yep. I figured this would be an issue once I couldn't feel the crown setting. So what this means is there might be something with the set level inside the movement. It's not super, something's a little bit wonky in the crown stem, maybe the set level. It's not allowing, okay, it's hacking. But then when I try to get hand wind, there we go, finally. So crown setting and function, got to give this a little bit of a knock there. Now the threading on the crown, very silky smooth, but of course when I'm reviewing a watch and I have it here in my hands, I want it to be nice, prim and proper, two very distinct clicks. So I got to be honest with you guys, this is a first impression here, and yeah, I gotta call it as I see it. So let's go ahead and talk about the bezel. All right, so when we take a look at this bezel, it is a 120 click unidirectional bezel. Not a whole lot of play, maybe a little bit, but I really have to yank on it to get it to wiggle at all, so I'm not gonna knock it for that. What I will knock it for though, is when we look at all the markings, all the indexes, if you will, on this bezel, there's not like a distinct pip, right? So I can see obviously that one marking is a diamond right here, and all the rest are either like a hash mark or just a dot. But the diamond kind of just like blurs into everything else. Like I would have liked maybe the diamond to be bordered a little more, or maybe a different color or more recessed or something. But if I'm going to use this as a timing instrument, as an actual tool, and I want to see how much time has elapsed, you know, if you're moving, this thing's on your wrist, you got to see how long you've been underwater perhaps. You don't want to have to really like, you know, keep rubbing your eyes or squinting or straining to see which is the freaking pip. So that I think they could have done better. I think they definitely could have made this a little bit more distinct, like, hey, look at me, I'm the pip. This is what you're going to utilize to help see how much time has actually elapsed. So that's a little kind of design criticism there. But leave me a comment. Again, commenting really does help the channel out a bunch. Let me know, do you agree with that, or is it kind of just a stupid criticism of mine? Which, you know, I do have a lot of stupid criticism, so yeah, it is what it is. Now, moving alongside that bezel and looking to the profile of the watch, we can see a nicely double-domed sapphire. Now, the spec sheet made a big deal to let me know this is a 100% Swiss-made double-domed sapphire. No real distortion. You know, I do like the nautical look of a nicely domed sapphire. This does have double-sided AR coating. You know, people either love or hate AR coating. I prefer the AR coating to be all on the underside of the crystal, because again, if you do start rubbing or knocking around this crystal and there's a bunch of AR coating on the top of the crystal, that eventually will wear down and it'll make the crystal look really, really yucky. So I prefer all the AR coating to be on the underside of the crystal. All right, let's move on. Speaking of nautical vibes coming from this watch's crystal, we can look down through it to that second hand, again, moving at that very smooth 28,800 BPH frequency, and we can see an anchor rotating along with it. Now, what I do love to see are these nicely brushed grains coming from the handset. This shows me they really did take the time to finish this watch properly. I can't tell you how many watches we've taken a look at that have had kind of tool marks and burrs on the handset, which is kind of confounding to me because you literally are using the hands to tell the time. So if you think that we're not going to be looking at the hands, I mean, what are you doing? So, Wicked Watch Co., good job, nicely finished handset. And I do like the touch of the anchor there as the kind of counterbalance there for the second hand. While we're here though, let's go ahead and focus in on the text. So as we can see with big letters here, Pearl Diver, and then 660 feet, 200 meters, of course referring to the water resistance rating, and then automatic. Now what's interesting is although this is the Swiss-made variant, I guess Wicked Watch Co. chose not to go with the Swiss-made signage down by the 6 o'clock index, and I'm applauding them for that, honestly. Don't buy into the hype. You don't need to use the word Swiss on your watch. to make it any more valuable or inherently cool or good. So yes, they did put it on a lot of the pamphlets. They did put Swiss made on the case back, but they chose not to muck up the dial with extra text on that 6 o'clock index. Now let's take a look at the logo. So here we can see it just says Wicked in big block print. Now that's kind of disappointing to me because the crown has an anchor, the second hand has an anchor, but if we look back to what was on that leather watch roll, it has that really cool stylized logo. I wish they took the Wicked off this dial and just put that really cool stylized W onto this dial. Now we can see kind of an hourglass for the 12 o'clock index. That's a very fun thing. But yeah, again, I wouldn't say it's like a wall of text. I think Pearl Diver is written kind of large down there, but it's not super off-putting. I just think remove the Wicked next time, put that cool stylized logo on the dial underneath the 12 o'clock index, and keep it congruent. Put that also on the crown instead of the anchor. Heck, put that cool thing on the second hand as well. I think that would have been really, really cool. So kind of a missed design opportunity there, but what do I know? Focusing in on this date wheel, we can see, again, the window is not bordered, but everything is nicely centered, keeping it true, prim, and proper for the most part. We can see a matte black date wheel underneath there. So of course, the date window does not stick out like a sore thumb. It's not like a bright white date wheel underneath that really interesting dial, but also, I think I would have liked it bordered, maybe have a little bronze frame there. I think it would have made it look a little bit more polished and a little bit less like an afterthought. Let's go ahead, break out the digital calipers and measure the dang thing. So, I have a pretty good gauge of this so far, and just by holding it for a few moments, I think that it's fairly reasonably sized. I don't think this is going to be too much over 40 millimeters, but let's go ahead. At its widest point, excluding the crown, 39.6 millimeters. Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I was right. Let's see, lug to lug, 45.2. And then thickness at the widest point, 13.3 millimeters thick. Wow, very reasonable dimensions there. So this is not going to be super large on the wrist. And I think this will fit a very versatile, a multitude of different wrist sizes, I should say, but let's go ahead and put it on mine. All right, here it is, the Wicked Watch Co. Pearl Diver. For reference, I do have a 7.5 inch wrist, but again, with this watch's dimensions, you can rest assured if you have wrists a little bit smaller than mine or even bigger than mine, this watch will wear on your wrist just fine. This is not one of these huge, gargantuan, cumbersome watches. We can see, although this is quite competent as far as its, capabilities as a sports watch, you can see the 200-meter water resistance rating and threaded crown. It being a bronze-cased diver, it lays very flat on the wrist. It's not super big and bulky, and I really do appreciate that. Now, would I immediately reach for a watch with this dial design? Probably not. This is a bit too out there for me, but again, I'm kind of an old school guy. But as far as wearing it on the wrist, yeah, it feels very nice. And what I will say is this crown, or excuse me, the anchor is here as well as the crown. So I think their design language is a little bit confused, okay? So here, they have this really fun, what seems to be, I might be wrong, but it seems to be kind of a stylized W, right? For Wicked Watch Co. And then here on their warranty card, it has that same really cool logo, design. But then for some reason on the second hand and then the crown and then the buckle, but then not on the dial, they have anchors. And I get it, anchors, that's an immediate association with nautical things. But why not use this really cool, like how many dive watches have anchors? Most of them, probably. But how many dive watches have this? None. This is like unique to you. Put this all over your watch. Put this on the buckle. Put this on the crown. Put this on the dial in the second hand. Not an anchor. So I think Wicked Watch Co., I think their design, they're a little bit confused here, but yeah, this is just one man's opinion. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Ah, but have I spoken too soon? I've been known to do that. Okay, so the hardware here, again, we can see it's nicely oxidized and patinated. I really do like that. You know, I think we should acknowledge this is probably the cleanest this watch will ever look, because it's like fairly new, right? The more you wear this, the more you expose it to air, you know, the saltier the air, especially if you live on the coast, or if you do put this in water, or if you just wear it long enough to get your oils all over it from your disgusting, disgusting skin, you know, it will patinate the watch. So here on this buckle, what I was getting at before I did some really weird, creepy bit, we can see this does have that really unique logo. And then I think on this, nope, see? On this kind of, ooh, nice texturing down here on this rubber diving strap, so this won't slip on you if you're wearing it on the wrist, although I don't like wearing these because they give me a rash when it gets hot out. We can see this has that anchor again. But then when we flip it over, there's that logo again. So I don't get it. I don't get it. Stick with one, Wicked. Stick with one. But yeah, on the NATO, we have this. But then on this diving strap, we have that. And then on the leather strap, which is actually my favorite of all three, we have this again. So, oh yeah, all I did was shut the lights off here in the studio. And we can see it's already glowing, which actually is a very promising thing because we didn't even hit it with the UV torch yet. But let's go ahead, give it a little zap. Oh man, you'll love to see it. These blue Lumes often don't glow very well. Oh man, we've been having very good luck lately. Look at that. Great job. Wicked, you crushed it. But what I'm most interested in, I see it glowing a little bit. I already see it glowing a little bit. Let's get you in focus here. Nice. Hold on, let's hit that. Yes. Look at that. Nice lume all around. Bezel glowing very nicely. Very, very vibrantly too. It's so far it's lasting a good long while. Let's get you in focus here because I know the buckle is lumed. Look at that. Very nice. All right, thumbs up for Lume, baby. All right, guys, so before I give you my overall conclusion, I want to say one more thing. Now, the majority of criticisms I've given this watch have to do with the watch's design or the watchmaker's design language, and that's a very subjective thing. You know, just because a watch might not have the aesthetic I enjoy doesn't mean that it's a bad watch, because someone else might look at it and absolutely love it. You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But the one thing I've criticized, again, outside of the little things like, oh, I wish they did a different logo, or oh, the dial's a little bit too out there for me. The one thing that I've criticized that has nothing to do with the watch's design language or aesthetic is probably the most disappointing criticism. And again, it has to do with this crown. That's why we're focused in on this. Because the more I read the spec sheet, the more I realize Wicked Watch Co. really tried their best to make this a super functional dive watch, especially when it comes to mitigating water getting into the case. This actually has a double gasket system, and it has a silicone seal inside the case head. So they really tried to make this a legit diver. I just think that this example we have here, again, we're gonna push it all the way in. It's all the way in. But then for some reason, it just goes directly, it won't let me click it all the way into the 0 position, because now it's in the final position, and then I'm up against the thread, guys. I'm up against the threading. So you'd think I'd be able to hand wind it? No, just cycles through the dates. So that's kind of disappointing. And then you have to start threading it to get it back to click into 0, which is just kind of disappointing. All right, guys, so we've spent an afternoon with the Wicked Watch Company Pearl Diver. What do I think? Well, the good news is the dimensions are perfect. I think that this wears incredibly well. I think every sports diver should follow their lead and give us a proper sub 40 millimeter diver with competent specs. You know, double domed sapphire, a nice bronze case, a functional bezel. For the most part, I think the pip needs some work. See, I pointed here, but that's not the pip. The pip is down here. So you need to redesign that for sure. Date complication, I do enjoy the dark date wheel. I like the loomed crown and all that jazz. Now, unfortunately, for over $800 US, I think there's a whole lot of other watches you can choose from, guys. I'm gonna be honest. I think that that's a pretty penny. And for the crown setting and function not to be super discernible, not to be super distinct, that is a troublesome metric, okay? So again, I can only review the things I have in front of me. I really do appreciate Wicked Watch Co. for sponsoring this episode and sending this watch in for review. We're gonna go ahead and send it back so they can have it reviewed by someone else. But yeah, I gotta be honest with you, and I hope they appreciate that. You know, I have to review what I have here. So yeah, I don't think this is necessarily an indication of everything Wicked Watch Co. puts out, but for what we have here, the crown setting and function was not great. And for $800, over $800, it needs to be great every time. So that's what I'm gonna say. But guys, let me know what you think about this watch. Please leave me a comment. And again, commenting really does help the algorithm these days. So comment. Let me know what you think about this watch. Thank you to Wicked Watch Co. I hope you enjoyed this installment of Micro Brand Monday. Guys, there's a whole bunch of ways to support the channel. Check out my personal website, www.thetimetellershop.com. Check out the affiliate links in the description below. And come on, please, join the freaking members Discord chat, guys. You gotta be a channel member to join, but it's a whole lot of fun. We do weekly meetups, and it is my favorite part of the channel, so I'd absolutely love to see you there. Click the join button next to the subscribe button. It's pretty much like YouTube's Patreon. $4.99 gets you some extra content, and again, you become a certified T3 bot. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. Hope you enjoyed this review. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it.